Hey everybody, got another video here for you. Okay, got some shims from All Parts, All Parts brand. So I know they're probably going to be good stuff. And I popped off the number 5 saddle, and you put a shim in there, and it's still way low. And if you look at the thing, there aren't any shims in this at all. They have 3 different heights for the saddles, and you're supposed to put 2 short ones on the outside and 2 tall ones in the middle, and the medium height ones are supposed to go at number 2 and 5 string. And it looks like what they did is they got 2 and 5 and 1 and 6 backwards, because number 5 and number 2 are the 2 shortest saddles. And these 2 on the outside, 1 and 6, they're the medium height saddles. And then it looks like the ones at 3 and 4 are the tallest saddles. So it looks like I don't really need the shims at all. All I have to do is just swap the 1 and 6 with the 2 and 5 saddles, and I should be good. So basically somebody was having a bad day and didn't pay attention to what they were doing when they put this one together. They got all the right parts, but they didn't get them in the right places. And it's not hard to do. You take out the intonation screw and take out the lock screw, and then just swap saddles. So here you can clearly see that the saddle on the left is a little bit taller than the saddle on the right. And this is the saddle they had in the number 6 string position, and this is the saddle that I pulled out of the number 5 string position. So yeah, they had them backwards. And so yeah, that's what happened. Was first I set the action for number 6, and everything was fine, but 5 and 2 were low because they had the saddle swap backwards. So then I reset it for 5 because that seemed to be lower for some reason. Now we know why. And that's why the action at first came out looking kind of high, and I lowered the bridge down, and then I started chasing this rabbit hole, and that's what's going on. So yeah, I'm going to finish swapping them now. Okay, got all the saddles switched around and set the intonation and stuff. Everything's looking good. Got the proper radius on it now. And before I slapped it back on, I noticed that the bridge post screws, these are the unpainted temporary ones. So put a piece of tape right at the bottom here so that I know how far in they were adjusted. The same way that I measured the claw screw position, so that I can get everything almost perfect when I put it all back together. This also allows me to check and see how much thread engagement I get when it's adjusted correctly. And it looks like I've got plenty there, so I'll go ahead and use the painted ones and put it back together. And this will tell me how high they need to be. Okay, with the saddles fixed, and I was setting up the action again, and you actually had to raise the bridge up so much that I'm stepping up from an M6 by 35 to an M6 by 45. And as you saw a minute ago, fixing the bridge like lowered the action, I guess, at that point. And once you got it up, or start getting it up towards where it needs to be now, it needs a thicker block shim for locking the trem and hardtail. Okay, the bridge is back on. It's in tune. The bridge height has been set. The action's at like 14.5 millimeters at the 24th. No, sorry, 1.45. Yeah, 14.5. The bridge is parallel. The base plate of the bridge is parallel with the string plane. And the claw has been adjusted up, so yeah, everything works great. And it only required 2 springs in the back. I did end up going with the 45 millimeter long M6 screws for bridge posts, and that's how much they stick out. So that one sticks out maybe 3 mil. That one sticks out maybe 2 mil. And I ended up using the 3 mil side of the spacer. Yeah, I've got a 3 mil and a 4 mil side. So depending on which way you put this in, you can either use 4 mil spacer and have it tilt this way a little bit more, but three look to be closer to perfectly parallel with the string plane. So yeah, I ended up using the 3 mil shim for the bridge block. And now I think electronics is next, because mechanically and acoustically it's done. So, working on the electronics here, and this is basically all the controls for the guitar, all nice and laid out, soldered up already. It uses a stereo jack, as it doubles as an on-off switch for the negative side of the battery, so you don't drain your battery. When you plug in the jack, it makes the connection for the battery, and when you pull out the jack, it breaks the connection. And then this whole thing, well, this part of it, is going to drop right in there, and then the 2 long leads on this here come down this little channel over to the larger cavity, where you have the great gathering of all the positives and all the negatives together. And I'm probably going to be using like a bus wire, basically, in order to do that. I did that on the Cowboys build because I had to bring like 7 negative wires together in one big wad, and it didn't want to solder up well. I couldn't get the whole wad of wires hot enough. So what I did is I took a piece of bare wire, uninsulated, that was almost the length of the cavity, and one by one I'd solder each of the grounds to that strip of wire. And it works great, and it also means that you can pull individual bits and pieces apart again without messing up the rest of the wiring. So I'm going to be using that approach here as well. The overall circuit is really quite simple. It's one of these things where all the hots come together and all the grounds come together, and everything's more or less wired in parallel. And the only thing that's special is you've got a negative lead for the battery, goes over to the ring terminal on the stereo jack, and then you've got a hot wire for the power for the pickups, and the hot wire here simply connects up with all the red wires here. These are the power wires for the pickups. The red is the hot. And then black is ground and is shared by both the signal and the power. And white is the hot for the signal. And white is hot for the signal for the kill button as well. And then over on this section of the circuit, obviously that's ground and that's hot for the signal. And then this red one will just kind of go this way, run through this little channel right here, and then connect up with these red guys. And then the last little bit is once these guys have gone in these holes here, there'll be a cover over the back of this that's sticking out, some sort of cover here. And then this wire will kind of sneak in between that cover and the back plate for the rest of this stuff. And this will sneak in under the back plate for the rest of the stuff. That's the bridge ground there. And once the back plate for the rest of the stuff is next to the little cover that's going to stick out, then this thing is going to fold over on top and be mounted on the cover, roughly here. Yeah, so I'm having to stack things up in order to get it to all fit. But yeah, it took almost a day of looking at it and thinking about it in order to figure out how to get all this stuff crammed in there. But I think I got it figured out, and just got a last little bit of wiring to do, and it should be ready to go. So sometimes when you're wiring up to guitars, depending on the circuit you're implementing, you have to bring a whole bunch of leads together, like a whole bunch of ground wires or a whole bunch of hot wires. And sometimes, like just recently on the Cowboys guitar, I had to take a whole wad of like 7 ground wires and try to solder them all together. And it was a big old, mess of wires, and it was hard to get the whole thing to solder together. And so this is the trick I use on the Cowboys guitar, and it's a trick that I also use in other places in general. The idea is this is going to be a bus wire for the negative bus, and you just go along down the bus wire and solder on all your grounds that you have to put together from left to right. So here I need to still do, I started by hooking it up there. I really should have hooked it up to this pickup. It doesn't matter though. I'll just bring this wire down next to it. But that does leave me a little more. That means I have to squeeze another wire through there, so maybe I'll undo it. But the basic idea is you just go along, and first I take the black wire out of this pickup, and then I connect it to the black wire for the kill button, then the black wire for this pickup. Oh wait, actually, get the black wire for the bridge ground, black wire for this pickup, and then this black wire goes back to all the rest of the electronics. And so, yeah, I just go down the line and solder them up until I get to the end, cut the excess off. And since this is ground, I don't even have to worry about shielding. I can just shove it down there in the bottom and keep on wiring. And then I can also do the same thing with the hots. I need to get the white wire here, the white wire here, the white wire here, and this red wire for the hot signal feeds the rest of the circuit. So that's 4 wires I have to bring together on the positive side. And then for the powered pickups, it's really easy. I just take the red power wires on these two, and they go to the red wire coming off of the battery. So after I'm done doing this negative bus wire, I'll probably do the same idea for the positive side, but after I've assembled it all, then I put a layer of black electrical tape on both sides so it's all insulated. And same idea for the battery, but that's only 3 leads that I have to tie together. I can probably just twist them all up and solder it and then put some heat shrink on that. Okay, at this point, all the grounds have been connected together via a negative bus wire, basically. And these are all the signal hots twisted together, and these are all the power leads twisted together. So now that I've done this one, I need to do the same kind of idea for the hot side, and then wrap it all up in electrical tape or electrical non-conductive insulating paint is another way to do it. Tape's probably cheaper though. And there's the positive bus wire already all taped up. It looks basically like this thing underneath there. So yeah, that's all taped up. It's not going to ground out. And now all that's left is these 3 power wires. So there's the 3 power wires, and that's it. It's all done. Now I need to find a 9-volt so I can test it out. Well, looks like I'm going to have to go get some 9-volts. The pedal boxes, they don't use them, and this is my first active pickup build here at the new shop, so I haven't needed 9-volts for driving AMGs before this. So yeah, I guess that's going to do it for, I can probably get them by tomorrow. Well, I think that's going to do it for this video. So until the next one, everybody have a good one.